right? And so we hear surrender all the time. Surrender, surrender, oh, surrender. Surrender to what? A lot of people don't realize, what am I surrendering to, and for what purpose? So surrendering means that you're not trying to force things any longer. You're not trying to push without thinking or without consideration. You're allowing yourself to take a step back for a moment and just breathe and just exhale and just to process the circumstances in your life and just to observe for a moment, just seeing what's going on so you can assess the situations accordingly. That's really surrendering. I'm going to stop driving for a second. Let me slow this car down because I'm going in loops. I'm not finding my way, so I'm driving around the same neighborhood. You don't just continue to drive in loops, do you? Oh, well, I'll find my way sooner or later, and the more you see the same signs, I'm going to keep driving. Something's going to change. A new direction, a new path is going to unfold somehow while I keep driving in a loop. Same signs. You won't do that. You're going to stop, say, okay, what did I miss a turn somewhere? Did I, let me look at the navigation. Is there some information I'm missing? This is what we'll do for driving. So when you're driving your life, you might just slow down for a moment, take a step back and assess the situation. Ask yourself, are you just going around the same corner all the time, seeing the same signs and not doing anything about it? And not picking up on the clues that are telling you, oh, you're missing this opportunity here, or you've been disregarding that message from spirit or from even someone in the physical world. So it's time to be perceptive. That's what surrendering means. You're going to stop driving for a moment and assess the situation. When you surrender, you will actually realize all that is going well for you. You might even realize, things have actually going in my favor. And I've come up to this point in my life, wow, I'm actually really, I feel pleased about where I've come from, where I'm at. I'm just kind of in this rambunctious energy without, direction and not really being perceptive. Things are actually going pretty well for me. And that will bring a lot of realization in this pause and slowing down. Because when you're assessing things, you might realize, oh, it's not that as bad as I thought it was. So look around. When you take a step back, you stop driving in circles. You start realizing in your life that, things are pretty well and I'm just missing certain components and I'm pushing too hard. I'm being too hard on myself. I'm being too hard on life. I'm not allowing myself to be, patient in the process. And as I always say, patience does not mean waiting. Patience means you're nurturing the situation. Let's clarify this, okay? Because it's not about focusing on abundance or lack. It's identifying abundance or lack. It's not so much about the focus on such, because we can put our mindsets in specific ideologies. We can repeat all the bumper stickers we want and say it's all about love is love, all these things, but no one really identifies and knows what that really means. So we need to identify lack versus abundance. And so abundance is such a broad term. Abundance of what? If you say focus on abundance, well, you have an abundance of air, you have abundance of thought, you have abundance of breath, you have abundance of water, abundance of wind, abundance of trees, abundance of grass blade, all that stuff we have. So when we ask for abundance, don't be a fool in saying oh, universe, give me abundance. It's you already have abundance. You have the abundance of tools, a resource from spirit to create the world that you want. You have it. You're not utilizing your abundance. There's a difference. So when we say focus on abundance, we're talking about actually utilizing the abundance that you have to generate more experience in your life and understanding what you are doing that is lacking your point of view and creating more of that lack in your life. And that usually comes from perspective. And if you're not utilizing the abundance you already have, you're not going to see any more of it. You just can keep it that narrow perspective. So it's important to understand when we keep saying focusing on abundance, what kind of abundance? You already have abundance, and what are you trying to create? What are you trying to expand and elaborate on? But that comes from the change of self. These things in the physical world and things that you're trying to achieve are results of your behavior, results of your perspective, and results of what you're focusing on. So if you're having lack, you're actually, it's not so much you're focusing on lack, you're being lack-minded in your perception, in your pursuit on your goals. Because a lot of these spiritual ideologies prevent you from just thinking broadly. Oh, don't think about that. It's no, look at it. Think about it. See the parallel. See the dichotomy, So we got to look at it. So we can't be afraid to be objective and call out what is and what isn't. That's quite all right. And many people feel like that if they acknowledge the lack in their life, then all of a sudden they're going to think oh, well, I'm going to create more of it. No, your feeling and what your mission is going to create more of that. You're allowed to analyze. If that were true, then scientists wouldn't be able to be scientists. That everything they're studying, they would start creating that. They're studying cancer. They're all getting cancer because they're focusing on cancer. Please don't think this way. It's about being solution-oriented. You can look at the disease. You can look at the illness. You can look at the problem. As much as you want to analyze the problem, as you want, as long as you're solution-oriented. If you're not solution-oriented, well, then you just become what you're trying to fight against, actually. So let's be clear here. I'm saying to a lot of people just afraid about thinking and looking at the picture. They're afraid of addressing the excuses. They're afraid to address the things that are stalling them down. And we're saying like, no, you have to look at it. And I'm always trying to like reprogram a lot of these spiritual communities with their ideologies of how they're keeping people stuck and bound from actually looking at their problems and studying their problems so they can create more insight into what is going on psychologically so they can evolve spiritually.